So we just recently saw Blink Respawn 2026, the next and latest CPT Premier tournament where we had MenaRD winning his qualification into Capcom Cup. And this was a big deal because MenaRD is from the Dominican Republic, and that's where Blink Respawn takes place. And throughout every iteration of Blink Respawn and Street Fighter 6, the best he had placed across the 3 tournaments from 2023 until now was 7th place. So for him to earn his qualification into Capcom Cup in his home country, defending the home turf, was definitely a monumental achievement for him. But you might have noticed some interesting gameplay that he represented during this top 8. Specifically, this moment caught a lot of people off guard. Level 2, Blanka-chan down. Blanka-chan down, gets the grab. Drive rush in. Level 3, and hop through. Hop through on the wake up level 3. You thought you got him, and instead MenaRD is just hopping on through. So this moment was pretty hype for a lot of people. Some people might know the secret to this one, but what I wanted to do today is break down some of the high level plays from Blink Respawn to show you the tech that the pros are using to get ahead in the game, and including we'll break down this moment here at the end as well, and a few more tricks that MenaRD uses to edge out his victories over his opponents. So let's go ahead and get into the first example here. Crossover up against MenaRD. So we saw Blanka doing work right there. MenaRD is the champion. How do we stop Blanka? Can we get some anti-Blanka tech? This was represented in the winners semifinals. Crossover RD here is suffering with MenaRD's Blanka level 2. Nice side swap there. Blanka-chan down, and DI against the up back Blanka ball. Now, unfortunately, for some reason, crossover here didn't go into the level 3. I think level 3 here would have put MenaRD into burnout and maybe given him the round. He does end up losing, unfortunately. That was a misplay, in my opinion. But is he just swinging for the fences and hoping for the best here when he goes for a wake-up DI, which is typically a really scrubby option? Well, the idea here is you have to understand what mix-up MenaRD is going for with the Blanka-chan and the level 2. So if you don't know about this one, this is pretty common knowledge at this point, but Blanka-chan and level 2 is a good combo, right? Here's an example of what you can do with this. Set the Blanka-chan down. You try to tech the grab, up back Blanka ball, which activates the Blanka-chan into full combo conversions. Throw another Blanka-chan down and convert that into a level 1. And oh yeah, you can still combo out of that as well. It can keep going. So as you can see here, the risk reward for teching the grab in this situation is really, really, really bad. Like you just don't want to tech this grab and be put into this situation here with the Blanka-chan, because he can up back Blanka ball, activate the Blanka-chan, and even if you don't tech the grab and you just block, the Blanka-chan will activate and give him a mix-up. And if you press something like a crouch and medium kick to call out a walk back shimmy from Blanka, he'll also go over that and get the full combo as well. So it's a really loaded in his favor situation to go for this up back Blanka ball because it covers so many options, including like sometimes reversal if you do a delay up back Blanka ball as well. So what is the answer to the situation? Do you just have to take the mix? Well, it comes full circle again. Normally, wake up DI is the scrubby option, but wake up DI is literally the counterplay to up back Blanka ball in this situation. You delay your DI a little bit so that it doesn't immediately come out, and then you can then punish counter the up back Blanka ball and get a full combo punish. So this mix-up is busted, and if he just goes for a meaty or goes for a grab instead, you're going to get hit. But when the risk reward is against your favor, you better make sure that when you take the risk, you get a big reward. So I definitely like to mix in delay DI against this Blanka-chan situation every now and then, and you can sometimes turn the tides in your favor. So definitely something to keep in your back pocket and use that when people are abusing level 2 against you. But how about this sequence? This is one of the craziest moments of the entire top 8. Higuchi versus Dual Kevin in the loser side of top 8. Higuchi had a perfect in the first round of the first game and is working on a perfect in the second game. Has Dual Kevin in the corner here. Dual Kevin's trying to work his way back into the set. He does have 2 bars of super. Finds a block string. Higuchi comes out of burnout, but a stagger frame trap gives Dual Kevin the combo conversion. Higuchi techs the grab. Dual Kevin trying to find his opening. He's going to use the OD Whirlwind here to build some space. Dash in lanes. This grab this time. Backdash, level 2. Dual Kevin can now approach with the shield behind him. He's waiting for the moment. He goes for the plus frames on the enhanced mixer into a block string, into the overhead. That's going to be huge damage. Gonna get the knockdown here. Then continues to pressure. Higuchi does, boom, drive reversal, whiff grab on the jump back into the anti-air. A full comeback from Dual Kevin from being a pixel away from dying and making the comeback. And he does go on to actually win this first game instead. On the precipice of being double perfected, instead he wins the round. So this was just a crazy, crazy comeback. This was so solid. But this moment right here is actually a microcosm of some really, really high-level gameplay. So Dual Kevin here going for offensive drive reversal is one thing to point out. Drive reversal is often used explicitly for defensive options, but him going for it in this situation is really strong because he's going to be put into burnout regardless. If he was going to block this sequence from Higuchi, the medium punch into the boom, he would block it and be put in burnout and then for sure be in a situation where he's going to get chipped by either a flash kick or sonic boom. There's nothing he can do about that. Instead, because he sees Higuchi going for this block string, he knows that drive reversal offensively will cause a knockdown. So instead of just dying to chip in mid-screen, he goes for getting the knockdown. Now, in this situation though, some people saw this and thought, why did Higuchi jump back here? Like, isn't this just a guaranteed wake-up OD flash kick? Like, why wouldn't Higuchi just go for OD flash kick to get a guaranteed chip kill, even if Dual Kevin did nothing, right? He was just gonna die. And that's where the mind game starts. So I'm gonna show you exactly how this actually works. Having offensive drive reversal is really strong. So offensive drive reversal for knockdowns is not as common as offensive V reversal was in Street Fighter V. This is a pretty common tactic because when people try to build space by doing strings, just causing a knockdown instead and then using that to get a strike throw mix is really, really good. Because otherwise, if you take the block string, you're just being pushed out and you're giving them more space to work their way out of the corner. And in the case of Dual Kevin, he would have just died to chip. So definitely consider in certain situations if it's worth using the drive reversal offensively to score a knockdown in the corner and get the last strike throw mix. It could definitely be worth it in some situations. Okay, so this is the situation. Dual Kevin scores this knockdown, and then he's going to go in for a dash-up grab, which is a meaty grab in this situation. So it does set up a very perfect meaty grab timing for him. But the problem is, if Higuchi simply does a wake-up OD flash kick here, he's gonna die, right? Like if he has no health. So even if he blocks, tries to bait the flash kick, he's going to die. Chip is gonna get him. It seems almost guaranteed. And like nothing else Rashid can do here in burnout is gonna beat that flash kick, and Dual Kevin didn't have any super meter available either as well. But what is the reason then why Higuchi went for the up back jab in that situation? Why would Higuchi jump and not flash kick? And that's because of the angles. This was a final coin flip for both players. If Dual Kevin instead knows that he is in chip range and flash kick will beat him and beat all of his options and kill him, he can go for the jump forward in that situation to purposely bait out reversal flash kick, and then he would have gotten the punish and gotten the kill on Higuchi instead. It would have been a complete reversal of that situation. Higuchi knows that Kevin knows this. So what does Higuchi do in this situation? Higuchi instead chooses to go for jump back jab. Jump back jab is the option that will beat Rashid going for the jump over cross up in that situation. So Higuchi was on like level 5 in this situation mentally. Like he's like, oh, I know that he knows that I know that he's in chip range. So rather than go for the flash kick, let me instead do something crazy like this, go jump back into the corner with the jab. Because Dual Kevin wasn't afraid of the flash kick or betting on him to be scared to do it, going for the meaty grab is the perfect option because it lets you recover in time. No matter what he tries to press up there, after this meaty grab, Rashid will recover and be able to anti-air instead. So for some people, assumed that this was a checkmate scenario where Higuchi had a guaranteed kill. No, it was literally 50-50 for both players in this situation. So Dual Kevin kind of had the right read here. He knew that Higuchi could just wake up flash kick and kill him, and Higuchi knew that as well. Higuchi went to the next layer, and Dual Kevin kept it simple and just did meaty grab to the spinning mixer to get the punish there. But it shows you that the mind games run very deep, even when these situations where it feels like it's completely loaded in one favor. Same thing if Higuchi went instead for a drive reversal or anything else at this situation. Like, no matter what Higuchi went for, the jump was a threat. There's no guaranteed option. So Higuchi thought he had a really advanced mind game, and Dual Captain was just ready with the anti-air in that situation to get one of the best comebacks I've ever seen in a pro tournament. Okay, and for this one, I'm gonna have to get my own reaction to this one. This is Crossover RD versus Riddles, losers quarterfinals, and it's 1 game apiece and 1 round apiece. Whoever wins this round goes up 2-1 in the set. Crossover RD in burnout, Riddles on the offensive with 0 super meter, getting the burnout loop going. Are you ready, Crossover? Oh my god, last gas. Walk up ODTP. I knew it! Give me some credit here. Give me some credit here. How did I know it, man? How did I know in my heart of hearts? I called that shit. I called that immediately. As soon as I saw this sequence, I knew what was coming. Somehow I knew in my soul that the next sequence out of this, after getting 1 throw into the corner, 2 throws in the corner, it was gonna be walk up ODDP. So how did I know that? Let's go ahead and break down a few of the options and why sometimes doing the scrubby thing here is actually really high IQ in this moment. So this is Terry, and Terry has a little thing called a throw loop. So if Terry throws you into the corner, dashes up, he's +3 again, and he can throw you 1 more time. And this is strong because even if you were to wake up with your fastest button, like something like a Crouching Light Punch in this situation from Sagat, it would beat that option and land meaty and win the interaction. So one thing to keep in mind is the resources and the loop situation. So Crossover was in the life lead, and Riddles was making a long comeback and forcing him to take a lot of guess situations in a row until it eventually came down to the moment where they're both 1 hit away at this point. After landing this final throw here, putting him out of guess for game situation, the dash up ODDP seems ridiculous at first glance. But if you really think about it, let's break down what it actually beats in this situation. So after this throw, if I dash up immediate DP, of course it's going to be wake up immediate jab. But what it also beats is if they wake up with an immediate throw. So if they wake up with immediate throw, they're going to get hit as well and die. So that's going to cover 2 options. But most people do not wake up with immediate throws. What most people do in a lot of situations is they delay their throw tech on wake up, which allows them to do a delay throw that covers multiple options. So this is why delay teching is so strong. In this situation, Sagat is delay teching, but if I dash up and do a jab or dash up and do a throw, you see that Sagat is actually covering both options, even though all he is doing is inputting a throw with the delay. So if I input a delay throw and I dash up immediately DP, he's also going to block that. Sagat is inputting the throw every single time, but is just slightly delaying it, which covers so many options. Covers dash up jab, dash up throw, even dash up DP in this situation. It beats all of those. However, this is where the delay comes in. If you delay your DP, it's going to hit late enough so that you eventually press into the uppercut and it actually clips you and you get the punish. So that's an option to delay it. However, there's a balance. If you delay too much, you're going to get hit by a wake up jab. You have to find the sweet spot of the delay. If you want to really beat someone for pressing any option, a delay throw tech and a wake up jab to beat everything with your Hail Mary, this is going to work. There's actually a really sweet spot to nail that's going to get that option for you, and that is a slight, ever so slight delay DP to cover everything. And on top of that, there is actually another layer to this. It's a little difficult to time, but, you know, Sagat also has his own wake-up reversal as well with his own OD Tiger Uppercut. If you compare these two, Sagat's OD Tiger Uppercut does have more invincibility. Terry's, I believe, has 10 frames of invincibility, and Sagat has 12. But if you delay this, if you do it immediately, for example, Sagat's going to win, right? If you do dash up and you both DP, Sagat will win this interaction because it has more invincibility. And also your plus, so you're running out of invincibility sooner. However, if you delay enough, there is a pocket where you can beat this option as well. So there is a theoretical magic sweet spot where you can beat Crouching Light Punch, normal grab, and delay DP. It's really hard to hit, but, you know, it calls out all the options. And it would force, or you can get a weird trade like that. That would have been nuts. but it covers so many options, and it essentially is saying either you block here and commit to blocking without doing any other options, or you die. So it's a really good Hail Mary move in the very end when you know that they can't afford to take any other mix, because crossover couldn't take a grab, he couldn't take a jab, he couldn't take any other damage. And if you go back and check the footage to see what actually occurred here as Riddles dashes up, what does crossover go for? He tried to do the wake up light punch. So he did go for one of those options. Of course he was. There was no way he was just going to sit there and block and just take the pressure and, commit to holding down back. He presses light punch here, trying to catch Riddles overextending his turn or messing something up or leaving a gap, and eats the dash up delay ODDP. So this is really good, especially with characters with a lot of active frames on their uppercuts. Like think of like Ed, for example, that's a classic. But it's a good Hail Mary move when you know there's no chances they're going to block on the last guess. It's another like really key last coin flip technique to bust out in the heat of the moment. Here's another one, Punk up against Higuchi. This one blew my mind when I saw it live as well. Punk in the corner, eating the sour spot level 3. That's crazy on its own part. Takes a grab down to his last like 2%. Low forward drive rush cancel on the DI, react to level 3. Jesus Christ. This is absolutely insane. The reaction here to see that he is out and burnout, doesn't have the meter anymore, and to react with the DI, or react to the DI with level 3 is next level. Let's talk a little bit about the mind game here, because what's happening here, if you're not familiar with how the meter actually works in this game, is once you put yourself in burnout, you cannot use DI. To counter a drive impact, you're going to have to use your own drive impact. Punk tries to snipe a gap in the pressure to convert to a super, and he spends it on drive rush cancel. And because he drive rush cancel, he's in burnout now. The next thing he would do, if he wasn't in burnout and had more health, that's a key component, is he would do DI in return. That's what you do 99% of the time this type of thing happens. But Punk has insane reactions and goes for the level 3 instead, which is nuts. And to replicate this yourself, be Punk, 1. But 2, there is actually some strategy behind this that you can leverage beyond just like saying, oh, Punk just has better reactions. Punk does have some of the best reactions in the world, but there's strategy here that actually gives Punk a bit more credit strategically for why he's able to pull this off. So one thing to keep in mind is, when can you use your own drive impact defensively? You need to have enough health to counter another DI. So after Punk gets thrown in the corner this one time right here, Punk's health is now below the limit where he can actually successfully counter another DI. Like if you look at this situation here, as I am with Terry, like this is going to be 4% life remaining, probably a little bit less, maybe 3%, right? And at this health, if Sagat goes for a DI, you try to counter DI, you're just going to die. You do not have the health to absorb the DI. That's why it becomes such a powerful option to do. So when you are at that health, once you cross below this threshold of like almost like the first bar drive gauge, defensive DI needs to completely leave your mental stack entirely. So, and Punk in this situation, when he is observing what's going on here, he's not just raw reacting to the stimuli of the DI, he's also seeing the fact that, hey, after this throw, I am now outside of the range where DI is even an option defensively. I will remove that. When I am in burnout, for example, with no drive gauge or at this health, my only DI defense is grabs or supers. So the strategy here is being able to quickly flip your mental stack and options you look for in this scenario. Punk is already prepped to not use defensive DI whatsoever and to look for DI and to counter it with super. So even though he burnt himself out here, that's almost irrelevant to the situation. Him doing the driver's cancel did allow him to do the level 3, but he knows, hey, don't press DI here. I'm going to be burnt out for 1, so I'm going to die anyways. I'm not going to get DI. And for 2, I couldn't even DI if I had the health and the meter for it, right? I don't have the health for it. It would kill me regardless. So yes, insane reactions from him, of course. You can see the pop off in the top left. He's like doing the little fist pump and everything, but also really good situational awareness from the moment before when he got last thrown. So that's the type of like top level awareness that people are still searching for in this game. A guy like me, I would have done low forward driver's cancel and then press DI anyways, even though I was already burnt out and I would have died. Like, you know, most people would just die there. And I know people still press counter DI when their health is too low and die anyways. So great awareness on top of insane reactions there, but you can learn something from it yourself. And we got more high-level Punk plays here. Here he is in the losers finals up against MenaRD. And this just goes to show some of the advanced drive rush meta. We'll see how this gets countered. Nice little pump fake with the drive rush crouch and like. This is just a little taste of how these two play the footsie game in this matchup. So these type of shenanigans are pretty well known, but you can see how Punk, once they're both outside of the footsie range, they're both kind of jockeying for positioning. Punk would want to traditionally approach here on the ground and use his walk speed and buttons to find a whiff punish or a low forward cancel. Or, you know, if you're playing in this range and trying to check Punk's movement, he would go for dive kick to check your buttons instead. Punk here, during the tension though, just goes for a drive rush into crouching light kick, specifically to halt his momentum early because he knows MenaRD is looking to check drive rush as well at this range. With crouching light kick, then immediately goes for the dive kick, knowing that the drive rush check will be there for MenaRD, but he's going to be a little bit late. And that gives him the punish counter dive kick, which is like the anti-footsie option from Cammy, which gives him the combo. So that's kind of a sprinkle of like the mind game these two are playing. And another way to use drive rush with an immediate button or special move or throw to like halt your momentum and throw people off and bait them out to certain responses. And Punk was definitely using that a lot this set, so it's MenaRD. But we're going to see the evolution of how this played out for both players as we keep going here. So because, you know, Cammy has that dive kick, it can punish you for playing the footsies and punish you for trying to check her drive rush as well. There's another option that Blanka can pull out, which doesn't really have that issue. In this round, we're going to see some options here. Stand heavy kick. Stand heavy kick is a very interesting button here. A crazy trade combo on the dive kick into a full combo conversion. He's going to turn that into momentum as well. But if you see here, of course, MenaRD is also using his own drive rush into whiff light to try to bait something out of Punk as well. And you can see Punk even attempted at this moment to do like a potential check with a jab. He saw that it was a no-go and said goes for the dive kick, and then stand heavy kick trade on the dive kick. In this situation, MenaRD didn't give him that crouching medium punch to get dive kicked on, and he sees the trade, drive rush into the heavy punch into the lift to get the combo conversion. And that stand heavy kick is a very interesting button. We'll see the mind games of how it works out here, because it's going to apply in a lot of situations. Here's another situation where it applies. Shimmy with the stand heavy kick. And then, man, if you can't do dive kick against the stand heavy kick because it trades with the combos, what if you just whip punish it instead? No. Punk was crouching heavy kick. Even he could not whip punish Blanka stand heavy kick. So, as this set progressed, we noticed that MenaRD was hammering on this stand heavy kick button over and over and over again because this specific property. At this range where normally Cammy would be using her footsie options in order to, you know, play the ground game, and then also use dive kick to dissuade you from counter poking her because she would dive kick on your limbs, we saw that the stand heavy kick can trade with the dive kick to a full combo. But then on top of this, if you try to whiff punish it, this move is very hard to whiff punish. It has barely any hurtbox extension, and it can just, he can kind of fish with it out here. And if you go for slower, longer range buttons like Cammy stand heavy kick and return, it can trade as well, potentially in MenaRD's favor. So he whiff punishes the attempted whiff punish here and turns that into a round. And you can see here, if we actually look at the data on this stand heavy kick from Blanka, that stand heavy kick has 7 frames of startup, 9 active frames. This move is one crazy, juicy fucking button. Look at that hitbox circling around this character, and it goes all the way from the ground to play in the footsie range. This is the faster startup range, but also covers the air as well. This button alone gives Cammy so much grief in the matchup. And on top of that, you know, it does have an extension forward with the hurtbox slightly, but there's barely any extended hurtbox. And then the later active frames, the hurtbox that is attached to the hitbox, of course, moves upwards with it. And so he doesn't have anything at the feet here really that much extended for you to actually cleanly whiff punish. So we saw MenaRD fishing like crazy in this set, in this matchup specifically. And I thought that was really interesting how it covers the dive kick and the footsies so well. Such a really strong option for him to focus on with that. We also saw that there was a little bit more to his game plan than we saw just with that stand heavy kick, but it gets even more oppressive. So here's another usage of the stand heavy kick. This is how MenaRD closed up the set. Trade stand heavy kick on the dive kick into the level 2. So he can even do that all the way to a level 2 conversion into the corner. And MenaRD does end up winning this round. This is how he closes the set out. But it's just another example how it can get even worse. Man, what a freaking crazy trade you can get from that. So that heavy kick did a lot of work in the set. And MenaRD ended up taking out Punk 3-1 in the losers finals. Of course, you're all here for one specific moment. We're here for that moment against Noah. And here's Brian F. live reacting, calling out what's going on in this moment. So let's break down what happened in that moment against Noah. Into the corner we go. Noah has the reactions. Blanka-chan down, up ball. You're going nowhere. Blanka-chan down, throw this time. That's going to be safe. Car cancel? Yes, hop. You're out of there, man. You're out of there. You cannot be doing screen freeze options against Blanka. There's layers to the offense. Blanka has unique advantages to escape. So how did I know that it was going to be safe? How did I know? What did I say? Carry cancel? What's going on there? So this is what is so powerful about Blanka. And a lot of people, you guys in the chat are calling it out already. But this specific setup where he gets this grab into the corner and performs specifically this drive rush right there is one of the best setups available in the game. And Blanka makes takes extra advantage of this tech. So let me show what I'm talking about. So MenaRD is going for grab in the corner, and Blanka's throw is really strong because he's plus 30 after this grab. And an interesting thing happens when he does his grab. When he dashes forward, he's plus 11. Plus 11 is a magic number, and I know people, a lot of people who are watching this might have already seen a very good video describing what's going on here. But for those who don't know, plus 11 is the magic number in this game to do car cancel drive rush setup. So what MenaRD does in this situation is go for dash up to get plus 11, and then goes for the stand light kick. And of course, if the stand light kick connects there, if you're pressing a button on wake up or you're not blocking for any reason, you can get a combo very easily from that situation. And of course, if you're just blocking, it can set up a very easy tick throw as well. But that's not what makes it so good. What makes it so good is the property that allows you to deal with these wake up supers, man. So here's me doing drive rush stand light kick up against Luke. So of course I'm going to get punished for that. It's going to hit me in the recovery. I can't block. I press the light kick. It's gonna win this interaction. I'm gonna go ahead and save this state here. I'm holding down back on the save state, and you can see that I'm actually getting punished by the wake up level 3. The light kick is coming out just before the screen freeze for the level 3. Until it doesn't. The plus 11 setup is a magic number where if you do a drive rush into a light, the frame that the screen freezes on is usually the first frame of the light. And that allows you to then cancel into a hop. This is called car canceling, where you cancel one animation into another. And generally, this is a property of a lot of Street Fighter engines. It's existed all the way back, at least in Street Fighter 4 and beyond, where the first frame of moves could be canceled into the others. And that's often done, so like if you do like a special move and you blink the input, it'll cancel if you hit the non-OD version of it in the first frame, but on the second frame you do the OD version, it'll cancel after the first frame, the regular one into the level, into the OD. So it's useful for like kind of cleaning up your inputs in case you complete the intended input right after one frame after the previous one. But it's often exploited in weird ways. We saw things like in Street Fighter 4, people would car cancel armor moves into their ultras and car cancel armored special moves into different special moves, like overlapping inputs in weird ways. Kara throws, those were more intentional. That was a bit different. That wasn't the exact same thing. I wouldn't call that. But there was other ways that these cancels existed in the engines across different Street Fighter titles. But the main application in Street Fighter 6 is these specific plus 11 setups. Now, the problem is you have to cancel into something. If I cancel into like my own level 1, that's not gonna work. I don't even think level 3 here works, and up ball doesn't work here either. So like you have to cancel into some kind of offensive move, but the only thing that really works is just hopping out of the way, and that gives Blanka a full punish. Because you have to have a cancel out of it, you can't just do whatever you want. You have to know the interaction between the options you have. You can't cancel into parry or anything. You have to cancel to an offensive move. So the combination of the plus 11 card cancel and the hop is brutal. And the fact that he gets it off regular grab in the corner. So because of the combination of these things, Blanka and MenaRD specifically is very often going for this specific setup all the time. You'll notice a lot of his offense is him going for this type of setup here. And it's just so powerful for that situation. And there's a lot more you can do with this as well, but there's something interesting about this that I found in this matchup specifically, and that's just mashing. Because depending on the matchup, it's gonna modify what you can actually do in the situation. If you mash Crouching Light Punch here as Luke, Blanka is left at +4. Blanka's only 4-frame move is the stand light kick, and it does not reach here. So he cannot combo from this if you wake up with jab, because it's going to trade with Luke specifically. So in that situation where Noah did wake up level 3, if he saw the throw, dash up, drive rush, the best option there is probably just to mash your Crouching Light Punch and return instead. And also, like, that prevents him from going for a grab also. So Crouching Light Punch in that situation is actually really good. However, it depends on the character, of course, because the trade advantage depends on the hit stun. Kimberly, unfortunately, with her wake up Crouching Light Punch, you're gonna see that Blanka's +6. So +6, he can do like a stand light punch into electricity. So he can actually combo from that as well. I'm not sure if her other light punch is also 4 frames. No. So Kimberly actually gets comboed, but it depends on the character. So if you're fighting MenaRD, it's worthwhile to know your trade with light punch on this setup, because he goes for it constantly, and some characters don't have to take a combo if you trade with it. And it's important to know, because MenaRD, like I said, he does sprinkle this in all over the freaking place. Like, look at this in the Punk set as well. Here he does a tricky little level 2 conversion, and I think he purposely whiffs this setup here to bait out a parry, and he gets a punish counter grab mid-screen. When you get a punish counter grab, that sets up a hard knockdown, which allows him to do this tech. He dashes forward here. He goes for the tech mid-screen as well. So it actually allows you access to that here as well. Dash up, drive rush, light. And the funny thing about this is Punk attempted to do something here. Here's the next layer of it. You can see the startup of OD Hooligan beginning in this situation right about there. That looks like OD Hooligan to me. Another small layer about this is because of the last second drive rush screen freeze, it can also sometimes mess up people's timing on their inputs for reversals. It can just throw a little monkey wrench in them trying to do a reversal DP or super or something of that sort. So some of your inputs could sometimes get a little awkward because it delays when you actually need to do the input. So yeah, if Punk was doing a wake up super, for example, which wouldn't have worked in the situation, if he inputted it here, he could have just card canceled out of it. But it's gonna input it, it's gonna mess up the input buffer and cut off the early portion of the inputs. So is this totally unbeatable? No, like I mentioned before, you can potentially trade with certain characters, but it's also important to remember that this only works if you freeze the screen with a reversal super. So if you take it all the way back to basics, all you gotta do to beat this is just do wake up reversal. That'll beat it every time. Just get the wake up ODDP. But maybe that's what Punk was going for in that situation and he missed it, but that is an option. And the other thing about this +11 and Blanka specifically is that you can also set this up off of safe jumps. So Blanka has a safe jump set up here. So just doing the heavy punch lift into the OD electricity is +42, which is the magic number for the safe jump. So if you look at the frame advantage after safe jumps, and this is common across a lot of characters as well, it's also plus 11. So after safe jump, you can do the exact same sequence as well. And this is really powerful because, for one, it's a safe jump. If you do a safe jump properly, you bait the reversal. And you can block and do it again. If they're just mashing on a wake up as well, you're going to get the hit. But if they do block, then you're able to set up the next layer, which is after the safe jump, do the car cancel, and save to reversal level 3. So there's so many layers to this as well. And this is just safe to like any other wake-up option, essentially. It forces you to take one mix. And you can keep building up the layers as you go. It'll also be safe to DI, right? And then if they do nothing, you can also just then convert that to a grab, but hop through if they level 3. So Blanka is unique in that he gets it really easily from throw and from really accessible safe jumps on top of having Blanka-chan. So MenaRD sprinkles this stuff in all over the place. So you might have noticed that like everyone popped off when he did the level 3 hop through against Noah, but a lot of top level players were watching this and went, oh yeah, that's Blanka BS, right? Like we know that there's layers. You cannot do wake up level 3. It just does not work, which is just a terrible situation to be in, especially when you're in burnout and don't have access to a non-screen freeze option. Really strong to mix in that scenario. Of course, Broski had a really good video talking about this. So if you want more like in-depth analysis on the plus 11 setups, this Broski video is a classic, but it was interesting to see how this came up and was a really hype moment in Blink Respawn. And I still think a lot of people didn't know what was going on there, but I just wanted to break that down again. And that's all I got for this video. So hopefully you learned a little bit about these players' game plans and some neat little interactions and a little bit about MenaRD strategy. I did really notice the plus 11 Oki setups and the usage of stand heavy kick and how that was key to certain victories. So I learned a lot watching this tournament, and hopefully you did as well. Peace out, guys. Catch you in the next video.